All right, good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys being a part of the Sleeveless Show. We're 8 a.m. on the dot. 8 a.m. on the dot. Thank you for hanging out. We got a busy show today. Busy show this morning. Busy show this morning. A lot of stuff to get into. Cheers to all my people here. Grabbing your cup of Joe, your cup of coffee, whatever it is that you're drinking here in the morning. Enjoy it. I'll be here drinking it with you. And spend the next probably hour or so, a little overtime today. I got a feeling we got a lot to get into that we'll probably spend a little time on some overtime topics as well. All right, real quick, I got a quote here for everybody. Let me get that in the mix. Let's get that started right out the gate. The sun is a daily reminder that we too can rise against, or that we too can rise again from the darkness. All right, let me read that one more time. The sun is a daily reminder that we too can rise again from the darkness. Sun is a daily reminder that we too can rise again from the darkness. All right, solid quote right there. I like that. I like that. I like that. All right, let me give everybody just a kind of a quick rundown in today's show. We got a lot going on today. So, we'll take our time. We'll get through the topics as needed, but definitely have a lot that we're going to hit on. A lot of Lakers, a lot of NBA. I got a couple stuff. Let me actually just go through the rundown here real quick. Bad loss last night. Not really too much to say about the actual loss, but I will spend a little time on it. Of course, after you lose a game, well, we got to have some type of reaction. If we're going to sit here and with our pom-poms and cheerlead when the Lakers win, well, we got to also break it down when they lose and why they lost and what happened and everything else. So we're going to put that in there. Anthony Davis left the game, obviously, yesterday. Played about 10 minutes. 10 minutes is what he played. So we're going to talk about, obviously what it means. Just a couple of minutes ago, there was literally within the last couple of minutes, there is a report on Anthony Davis. So we're going to get right into that, what that means for AD being out, what that means to this Lakers team with Anthony Davis being out. So we'll do that. The asking price, before I get to that, De'Aaron Fox, I got to spend time on why De'Aaron Fox doesn't want to be a Laker. So there's a report out there that he's not going to sign an extension with, we all kind of already know that. At least it seems that way. He's not going to sign an extension with the Kings. That means he wants out. And then in this report, it's like, yeah, and he doesn't have interest in the Lakers. It's like, well, why'd you have to say that? Nobody had to say that. We'll get into that. The asking price for Myles Turner, it's going to be steep. There was a report out there about potentially 2 first-rounders for Myles Turner. So we'll get Laker fans' thoughts. Dave McMenamin, who was in Philly, and I'm not sure if he's still in Philly today or if he's starting to work his way to D.C. I imagine he's still there. McMenamin's going to join me in about 10 minutes. Yankees owner talks a little bit about the Dodgers Wednesday. It's Ask Lee. So we'll spend some time on that, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Let everybody go about their day. All right, let's take a quick look at this. So right as I was starting the show, so the way this kind of happens, anytime there's something that comes out, we get these notifications on Twitter that comes from the Lakers communications department. So I'm going to read exactly what it says here. Let's start off with that because that is the breaking news, and it's coming right at 8 o'clock. About 5 minutes ago, the Lakers communications department put out Lakers medical update. Los Angeles Lakers forward Anthony Davis underwent an MRI today that confirmed an abdominal muscle strain. The injury occurred in the first quarter of Tuesday night's game at Philadelphia. Davis will return to Los Angeles today and be reevaluated in approximately 1 week. Okay, that's not good news. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but in the scheme of things, in the NBA, and how dependent the Lakers are on Anthony Davis, that one's kind of big news. I was reading it this morning. I was actually getting ready to, I was Googling this morning. I know I'm not a doctor here, but I was going, okay, if you got an ab strain, how long are you out for? And it says a grade 1 strain is 2 to 4 weeks. Something worse can be, a month or something along those lines. So this falls along the lines of probably something that was that grade 1 strain, just based on if he's getting reevaluated in a week, That doesn't mean he's coming back in a week. That means that they're going to see, hey, how you feeling in a week? I mean, how many times have we seen this with injuries? We've talked about injuries in the past. That's been a big part of the conversation of like, all right, just because they're reevaluating this guy in 4 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever the case is, doesn't mean that guy's ready to go and he's ready to start playing. So that's not good news. That's a gut punch. If I'm looking at the Lakers schedule right now, the teams that they play over the next week, by the way, that changes everything. Changes everything because you're going to have some really, really good matchups, some fun matchups that are coming up. Forget those because those all of a sudden now look drastically different without Anthony Davis. But over the next week, here's who the Lakers got. Here's who they got. So next week, the Lakers have, make sure I pop this up here. Okay, so they got Wizards obviously coming up tomorrow. The next game on ABC and ESPN coming up on Saturday, all of a sudden loses a lot of steam. The Clippers game they got coming up on Tuesday. If he gets reevaluated in a week, that means he's not going to play in that game on Tuesday. And then the earliest he probably comes back is that home game against the Warriors that they got on February 6th, which is the date of the trade deadline. So, unfortunately, anytime you got a player like Anthony Davis that's not out there, it clearly changes everything for the Lakers. But if he's out for at least a week, if you guys can just see what this Lakers team is, last night's a great example. I want to say Lakers were up 3 by the time Anthony Davis left the game. And then next thing you know, by the time, we find out at halftime that Anthony Davis is, he's gone for the rest of the game. He's not coming back. That's it. Game was over. Completely changed. And it's kind of how the league is, right? They're so dependent on one or two of these players, but Anthony Davis is everything to the Lake Show. So for AD to be out for a week, 2 weeks, whatever it ends up being, there is no game on that schedule that's a lock. They got the Wizards coming up tomorrow. Washington can beat them. I don't care that they've lost 14 games in a row. I don't care, however you want to look at it, it literally doesn't matter. If Anthony Davis is out for 1 week, Lakers can lose any one of those games, and it doesn't matter what the competition is. So, that's a good way to start the morning. Good morning to you as well. Right as the show's getting ready to start. Hey, just a heads up, AD out at least a week. Okay, well, top of the morning to you as well. Yeah, that one's very disappointing. I mean, last night's game, I won't spend too much time on it, but obviously last night was just a bad night for the Lakers in general in Philly. You lose to the 76ers. They don't have Embiid. They don't have Paul George. But they have Tyrese Maxey, who's an absolute stud, drops 43 on the Lakers. And, Lakers end up, obviously losing that game. It was never a game. I think the final score, it said Lakers lost by 14. They were down 20 basically the entire game. At least it felt that way. 22 turnovers, just no competition at all once Anthony Davis was at that game. And that part's disappointing. No Vando, no Gabe Vincent as well. But there's a lot of storylines right there in that I think is kind of interesting. But the news this morning is that AD is going to be out at least a week. We'll see how much longer. You're going to have about 4 or 5 games over the course of the next, let's call it 8 days. If he's out for those 8 days, and that means you got Washington, New York, Clippers, and Golden State. That's 4 games right there. They're in jeopardy of losing. Any game that Anthony Davis isn't in, they're in jeopardy of losing. All right, let's look at a couple of these comments here, and we'll keep things rolling here. Oh, that's a shitty start to the show. Oh, nice job, Al. You want to come in and do a live show and just depress everybody? Cool. No, that's good. That's going to get you subscribers. It's a really good idea. I should have pretended I didn't see the news. I should have pretended I didn't see the news and that I didn't watch the Lakers game yesterday. It should have all been a facade. This whole show should have been a fugazi. All right, let's get a look at a couple of these comments. AD out at least a week. Let's see what we go here. Let's see what we got here. Gut punch, literally. It was just a matter of time. Well, I'll tell you this. You could say whatever you want, but AD's been playing. I mean, don't forget, AD played 76 games last year. This year, I literally think it was yesterday's show in the morning where I'm talking about, yeah, he's on pace to do another 76. So that's obviously, we'll see what happens here. Yeah, these are coming back. I haven't had these in a while. AD's always injured. 1 week is 1 month in AD time. All right. Well, that's a little bit different. All right, let's get to another story here. I'm at Dave McMenamin. He's going to come on at 8:15. So if we start the story and then it changes just because Dave comes on, all good. We'll continue to have the conversation with him. Um, I don't know how you guys thought about this, but let's shift gears here and talk a little De'Aaron Fox. And I'm going to talk De'Aaron Fox because um, Lakers were mentioned in Shams Charania report, and it was mentioned in his kind of the news that he was breaking down yesterday of what was going on with De'Aaron Fox. Let me first kind of read the story, and then we'll tie this back to the Lakers here. So we all knew what happened earlier in the year. Earlier in the year, there were some reports out there. Rich Paul is basically saying, hey, it's a critical time for the Kings. There's no guarantee that De'Aaron Fox is going to commit unless this organization gets his, ish together. So then news came out yesterday, which was kind of surprising to me. And I say that because they changed their coach. Doug Christie is now there. If maybe there was an issue with Mike Brown, they obviously addressed that. They've won, they've gone on a good streak. I think they've won 11 of their last 15, but they lost a couple games in a row. We'll see how long this will last for. News comes out yesterday that the Sacramento Kings are expected to open talks for a potential De'Aaron Fox trade ahead of the February 6th trade deadline. Goes on to say there'll be plenty of suitors for Fox, who made an All-NBA team 2023, but is believed that the San Antonio Spurs are atop his list of preferred landing spots, league sources told ESPN. Fox and his representation, Clutch Sports Rich Paul, have a target destination in mind ahead of free agency. So obviously they're going to do everything they can to try to get De'Aaron Fox specifically with the San Antonio Spurs. Now, to be honest with you, if I'm the Sacramento Kings, it's all good that you want to go to the San Antonio Spurs. We're going to go ahead and trade you wherever the hell we want to trade you. Now, I know Fox has some power in that. He has some say in that. I completely understand that. But they don't have to trade him at this trade deadline. They could also wait till the offseason. So it's not like the Sacramento Kings don't have any leverage. They got some leverage. I do think if you know that your star player is not going to be there and does not want to be there and does not want to sign, obviously a extension or anything along those lines, then okay, you know what? Be smart about it. And if you're going to be smart about it, this is one way to do it. Let's see what the market looks like. Let's see what the market wants for De'Aaron Fox. All right, that's all good. We're going to let that happen. We'll kind of see how that all plays out. However, part of this article and part of the sound bites you got from Shams, here's one of the sound bites. One thing I can say with Rich Paul, we know he's got LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the Lakers. I'm told the Lakers are not part of that destination of choice for De'Aaron Fox, potentially. ESPN Shams Charania reported on NBA today. So funny when I saw that. Like the first thing that I thought to my mind, I'm like, well, how the hell did the Lakers get tied into this? How the hell did Lakers get tied into? Okay, Fox wants out of Sacramento. His preferred destination is Sacramento. He's not going to sign his extension. And oh, by the way, he doesn't want to go to the Lakers. It's like, well, what the hell? Where did that come from? Where did that bullet just come from? Why am I getting a shot here out of nowhere? Let's talk about it here for a quick second. By the way, I know there's a lot of Laker fans that are on this channel, and I'm sure there's a lot of them say, yo, that's BS. You know what? De'Aaron Fox sucks anyways. We didn't even want him. Fox is a baller. Some people might not like his play, his style, everything else. I'm a fan of De'Aaron Fox, and if the Lakers had a way of getting De'Aaron Fox, I'd be all in at trying to figure out what that is. So I'm asking myself, all right, why doesn't he want to be a Laker? You ever been in a relationship and the other person's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just not want to be with you. It's like, well, what the hell happened? What did I do wrong? You start getting insecure about yourself. That's kind of how I feel with that quote. The moment that quote came out from Shams, one thing I can say with Rich Paul, we know he's got LeBron and Anthony Davis. I'm told Lakers are not part of the destination of choice for De'Aaron Fox potentially. okay, well, what exactly would be the reason why De'Aaron Fox doesn't want to be a Laker? And I think it's okay to have these conversations and kind of be honest about your franchise, about your organization. What are the things that would deter him from wanting to potentially be a Los Angeles Laker? All right, so I was thinking about it. I'm saying to myself, okay, well, let me think of some of the different scenarios that are out there, and let me kind of play these out. All right, does he not want to be a Laker because maybe he doesn't care about Hollywood? Maybe he doesn't want those big lights, that spotlight, and all the attention that this organization gets all the time. Um, maybe he's not a fan of where the Laker franchise is right now. You got LeBron, who's 40 years old, and certainly trying to hold on for as long as he possibly can with everything that he's doing, and trying as best as he can to compete for another championship with Anthony Davis. I got no idea what his reasons are, but I did think that portion was interesting. It was like out of nowhere, Lakers kind of take a stray on that De'Aaron Fox conversation. So that was a little bit of a curveball. That wasn't something that I was expecting. And I know we got a lot of comments here, but I get the natural tie. Shams wanted to make sure, and I'm sure this is part of what Rich Paul, the conversation with De'Aaron Fox. Hey, I want to make sure that I'm not tied to the Lakers because I know it is Rich Paul and LeBron and Anthony Davis. So at least he's kind of letting that be known. So we'll get into what, maybe some of our theories are of why he wouldn't want to be a Los Angeles Laker potentially. But as I promised and like I mentioned, I want to welcome in Dave McMenamin. Very, very nice and kind with his time this morning. Dave, good morning, my friend.
Good morning to you, Lee. How are you?
I'm okay, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm in a parked car outside my hotel in Philadelphia, about to go see some family once we're finished chatting. But yeah, right before we started this segment, we get the news about Anthony Davis missing at least a week with his abdominal strain. And this team, whenever it seems it's starting to build some momentum, it falls into another unexpected pothole. And here we stand basically a week away from the trade deadline. And basically that entire time, they're not going to have Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that's a gut punch. I mean, it's kind of funny coming into yesterday's game, and this is so. It seems like the roller coaster of the Lakers, but coming into last night's game, it's like, all right, hey, they're positioned well here. They're going to start the road trip 3-0. I know you shouldn't assume that with any NBA team, but listen, Embiid's not there, and obviously Paul George. There's a lot of things going in the Lakers' favor, and then 12 hours later, here you and I are sitting talking about AD potentially. Let me throw this one in there on the AD front, and then just obviously your thoughts. So he gets reevaluated in about a week. I think they said approximately a week.
Right.
You got about 4 games within that span that you can, obviously that's on the schedule. Is there a recipe for winning for this Lakers team when AD is not there? And what would a recipe look like if Anthony Davis is not on the floor? And I just say that because whether he's out for a week or 2 weeks, a little bit of reality right now. How do you how do you keep your head above water in that period?
Listen, they won 4 straight leading into Philadelphia where he was averaging 32 points per game. They lose last night. He puts up 2. They lose by 14. You basically have a huge chunk of scoring to account for a team that had already figured out, hey, our identity, if we're going to win in this league with this group, is to lean into defense, and scoring is going to be the thing that we will struggle with on a night-to-night basis. But if we defend well enough, we'll be able to be in every game, and then hope LeBron can kind of close it out for us. I find a hard time seeing them being able to beat good teams without Anthony Davis. They haven't been able to beat good teams with him so far this year. So couldn't they win on Thursday against Washington? Yeah. I mean, they could be the team for once that rallies and is kind of dangerous, missing its star. And you get, some big performances from role players like Dorian Finney-Smith, and maybe Dalton Knecht continues this rise that he's been on. He can pick up some of the scoring slack. But Saturday against the Knicks, Tuesday against the Clippers.
Sure.
I mean, it's hard for me to think that those will go the Lakers' favor. And then you're like, okay, the work they had done, winning 6 out of 7 to get up, a game behind Denver for number 4 in the West, a bad week, and they slide back, and we're back talking about play-in positioning. And the interesting thing to me will be the timing of this and how and or if it affects the Lakers front office's thinking heading into the trade deadline. Because listen, Anthony Davis just about a week ago told ESPN's Shams Charania that we need a big man, and if we get a big man, I think that will give us kind of the extra boost we need with this roster to make a deep postseason run. Well, right now they need a big man just to be able to maybe get to the postseason. So in a weird, circuitous way, perhaps this injury could be the impetus to actually have this front office go out and get somebody. Because if you don't, and we're back in the scenario, let's just say, I have no information on this. I just got the information as you did. So, but let's say he's reevaluated in a week and he has to miss another week, right? And then the work that you did for 40 games to get to number 5 is kind of shot to heck, and all of a sudden you're back in the 9-10 territory, and that's where you're fighting the second half of the season. That's took a toll on the team the last 2 years. Obviously they went to the Western Conference Finals in 2023 and still made the playoffs last year, but it took a toll. That nightly kind of grind, the mental and physical of it, every game matters just to be able to have a chance to make the postseason. Being 6 or higher should be a goal for this team. And, if you can get a big who's not, and I like Jackson Hayes as a second backup big, but as the primary starting big, like, come on. That's going to be a tough proposition here. And so, maybe JJ leans into hyper small ball, like we saw him starting the second half of Dorian Finney-Smith at the 5. But to me, that's a look lineup, not a consistent lineup they can go to.
Dave, let's kind of play out what you just said. I mean, you look at this Lakers team, and NBA trade deadline's coming up in a little bit over a week, so it's next Thursday. You have Pelinka, who's openly talked about the picks. You have LeBron that's mentioned about the construction of the roster after the loss to the Clippers. You have Anthony Davis, like you mentioned, the one-on-one sit-down with ESPN about, hey, I need a big. Are we sitting here 8 days from today and the Lakers didn't make a move for a big? I mean, do you see a scenario out there where Pelinka maybe says if there's not you can't buy a home that's not for sale, or whatever, some of those quotes that he had in the past?
There's still a thought within the Lakers front office, similar to actually the quote that Steph Curry said about a week ago for the Warriors, saying like, hey, let's not be desperate here. There is not just this window, but there's the offseason window and next trade deadline window. That's a parallel thinking with what the Warriors are going through and the Lakers are going through, because the assumption is that LeBron will return next year. It's not going to, surprise all of us and retire at the end of the 2025 season. And so you will want to still have one more shot to make that team as good as possible, not just this year's team as good as possible. So there's a chance that they hold on. Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss hold on to those picks and don't make any sort of move. I'd be pretty surprised.
Me too.
The pressure has been mounting. This team, while it's certainly imperfect and certainly had its ups and downs, to me, it is a team, like, even if you remove any like rooting interest, if you're a fan, you can make it make sense as a team that can make a postseason run with slight adjustments to this roster. And that's always been kind of the Dr. Buss ethos that has been passed on to his children and still echoes within the walls in El Segundo, is that if we can see this team being a Western Conference finalist, it's worth trading assets to improve it in season. And can you see this team being Western Conference finals? Like, I think part of the idea for that is the parity of the league. It's not like there's a lot of good teams in the West. I think maybe OKC would be the only one I would call a great team at this point. And even in them being a great team, I don't think they're an unbeatable great team. So that's one reason to do it. And then, quite frankly, when LeBron James leaves Cleveland in 2018, he does it to play for a franchise that totally identifies itself as being a champion. And so long as he is still performing at a high level, and he is, I mean, he's not playing as well as he was 10 years ago. Okay, yeah, he's 40 years old, but he's still playing at a high level. And you know what he can do in high leverage situations. We saw it this past summer in Paris with the Olympics. If he can do that, then yeah, we're talking about a team that would be worth making the move for, and we should do it that way.
Do you think of, we how many times did we just mention Lakers potentially going out, getting a big? It's like paying attention to a big. Do you think Myles Turner is? Do you think that's a realistic one, or do you think that that's that one's more of a challenge because of where the Pacers are sitting?
Yeah, I mean, why is Indiana giving up on Myles Turner unless they're deciding like we're just not going to pay him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they just beat the Spurs by 40 in Paris? Weren't they, one of the better kind of surprising
top 6 in the East too?
Stories? Yeah, I mean, last year Rick Carlisle had them playing historic offense for a stretch. Yeah, they haven't looked like world beaters this year, but I just don't really see that, nor do I see the idea that the Lakers will be rushing to do any deal that would require the thought of giving up 2 first-round picks. I just don't see it. I mean, it's not impossible, and could 2 first-round.
I think we're losing Dave here. I want Dave to be safe. I mean, listen, I'm very happy to have Dave McMenamin on the show, but here's what I don't want.
I just don't think that's going to happen.
Are you safe there? Okay. I want to make sure that you're safe.
I had to do a loop.
Okay. No, don't be sorry. Well, I want to make sure here because this means a lot for you to come on the pod. I appreciate that, but I want Dave McMenamin feeling good about himself moving forward here. So okay, you're saying about Myles Turner, and you're just mentioning that. Yeah, the chances of him probably leaving is not there. Okay, let's pretend Myles Turner is out of the picture. Any of these bigs that you think, hey, this is realistic? I mean, we've heard kind of the same names, it feels like, for the last 30 days. Are there any other names that you think, or of the ones that we've heard, that you would like the fit if the Lakers were to make a move?
Yeah, I mean, start with the name that I reported over the summertime before LeBron had re-signed, before free agency began. He'd be willing to take a pay cut, and this is one of the names included: Jonas Valanciunas. Can be had. You can get him, and it probably won't require a first-round pick. And you could probably get Jonas Valanciunas. You address your backup point guard need, and we saw that is a need. Last night, if you're ready to shake in that role, you go to Bronny James. Bronny James is ready for it. Gabe Vincent hasn't been reliable since he signed with the Lakers. That's kind of what you do there, right? That would be the number one for me. We still here?
Yeah, I got you now. It cut out for a quick second.
You said
You said number one for you is Jonas.
Yes, and then you could also, that could be a package deal. You get Malcolm Brogdon, and you address your backup point guard need, right? Number 2, Robert Williams, Portland, elite athlete. There is obviously concern about his ability to stay on the court, but listen, like the pieces involved that you're going to be talking about trading beyond some combination of a first or seconds is Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent. Like, have those guys been reliable to stay on the court either? So it's like you're trading a risk for a risk. Like, okay, sure, but Rui is redundant if Jared Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith are going to stay on the court. And again, you got to give up something salary-wise to make stuff work. So, that's why Gabe Vincent's going to be in these conversations. And then I'll go a third, and I would put this option a true rung below the other two options. But Kelly Olynyk in Toronto, another guy who can be had, a different skill set than they have on this roster. Stretch five, plays hard, has played in playoff games. Another kind of thing to consider here is you don't want someone to be blinded by the lights of LA. It's a completely different experience playing for the Lakers than any other team in the league. I'm fully convinced of that. And yeah, you don't want someone who's going to be stunned by that. Kelly Olynyk, he's just a dude who balls. Like, I don't think that would be a problem. All three of those realistic names, none of them will require 2 first-round picks. Probably none of them would even require a first-round pick, depending on how asking prices are around the trade deadline. Go out and do it. And then if you do it, it's twofold if you're Rob Pelinka. One, you recognize that, hey, I built this team and I gave a player option to Christian Wood when he hasn't been able to give me any minutes whatsoever.
Sure.
So we need to address that. And two, okay, my stars, you wanted them, you got them. I delivered. So now you deliver even more for me, because that's why I am paying you max contracts. And, lay the chips where they lie at that point.
Yeah, it's a good. I like putting it that way, because he almost takes any pressure off himself. And like you said, if these, let's say hypothetically, if the Lakers got Jonas Valanciunas and he's there from the deadline on, and you didn't give up a first rounder, whatever it is that you gave up, he can also kind of sit back and say, look, I was also able to be incredibly strategic. And, I didn't fold when all the pressure was there. And in the summer, if I need to do something, I still have the ability to do that. And you guys got your big,
Yep.
So I think whether it's the fan base or the players or whatever the case is, he's able to accomplish both. I'm curious on, were you surprised the news yesterday of De'Aaron Fox and that continuing to, now that we're getting closer to the trade deadline, that the Kings are basically saying, hey, we're open for business? And you surprised at all that the conversation also from Shams basically had a mention there that LA is not a destination that he has in mind?
On the second part, I wasn't surprised, because I kind of checked in on De'Aaron Fox's situation after Mike Brown was fired, and I was told the same thing at that point, that at that point it was De'Aaron is content in Sacramento and wants to turn this thing around, and if he was to want to go somewhere, it wouldn't be LA. I just feel like, reading between the lines, no one has told me this explicitly, but the biggest factor here is there is a strong desire for De'Aaron to pair up with Victor Wembanyama, and he sees where he is at in his career, and he sees where Victor is at, and he's like, that could be the next 6-7 years of my career with a ton of success, a ton of financial security. He's a Texas kid. Growing up, like, it checks all the boxes, and any other scenario you would present doesn't live up to that in his mind. So that's a reason why you wouldn't consider the Lakers. And this is my kind of editorial. I don't, as I was getting earlier, my earlier point about Kelly Olynyk, like, not gonna be afraid of the big lights, whatever. Like, I don't think he would want the stressful existence as the Lakers. I just don't. And that's, you got to know who you are, right? Like, late in Steve Nash's career, I covered him when he came to the Lakers, and he said he pushed for it or kind of signed off on the deal because he wanted to feel the fire again. At that point, the Suns weren't really contending. He's like, but he knew there was like a limited kind of window there left of his career, and he's like, okay, mentally I'm gonna put myself there. De'Aaron has lived in a pretty easy superstar existence in Sacramento. Like, you're playing 10 national televised games a year, you're getting all the money and all the stats and all the local endorsement deals, and you weren't really, when you score back-to-back 50-point games, it's a nice pat on the shoulder, but no one is expecting you night to night to lead the team, and you are the subject of YouTube shows and and the like.
Yeah.
It's just he's not lived that existence, and I don't think he wants to live that existence, and that's fine. Like, not every player has to be a Laker, and that's part of like kind of the process. And this is, I think, one strength that Rob Pelinka certainly has, being the guy in front of the Lakers front office, is he does know kind of what that is, having represented Kobe for so long. I think he can kind of use that when he evaluates talent from a personality profile standpoint.
Okay, I got two final ones for you, and then I know you got a road trip ahead of you. So, all right, number one, what's been your take so far on Dorian Finney-Smith?
I mean, I think it was a really good trade. First of all, to get it done 39 days before the trade deadline, to then allow him to have more time to get acclimated to everything. He's an active defender. His attitude is kind of a breath of fresh air. He doesn't bring any kind of like diva or superstar mentality, which, quite frankly, makes him very popular amongst everyone in that locker room. I don't like seeing him go 1 for 6 against Philadelphia on pretty much all wide open threes from either corner. I mean, like, you're going to be a 3-and-D guy. You got to bring the 3 part of it. But I will extend him some grace, living in a hotel after the trade, living in a hotel full of displaced people from the wildfire evacuations. Like, that's got to be a mental toll. Becoming a new father. I mean, that's a lot of stuff to pack into a short amount of time. But he's shown some flashes. Had a highly efficient game at home before they went on this road trip. Big dunk in Charlotte to help close that game out. I think he's a wonderful addition. And I think he brings not just like, a non-diva attitude, but there's a little toughness to his game. And I was talking to Dan Wiki about this recently, and from the LA Times, and I covered LeBron when he played with J.R. Smith in Cleveland, and I think LeBron likes, you get a tougher, grittier version of LeBron when he's around grittier guys, and I think Dorian can bring a little bit of that out of LeBron. So I expect, and I think he's a good enough player to be a little bit more consistent. He'll get there. I think he'll be able to get there this season. So, yeah, I think he's going to be. That's going to be a trade that Laker fans will look back at for. I imagine he'll get an extension with LA this offseason too. They'll look back at that fondly for a while.
Okay, final one. For those who don't know, Dave is from Philly. You got your squad in the Super Bowl coming up here in a week and a half. How you feel? How you feel about that matchup? I
feel pretty good, but I did feel pretty good about your Chargers too.
No, not my Chargers anymore. No. When they left San Diego, I was out. So I was gone.
Well, fair enough. I just don't trust my evaluation skills with the NFL as much as the NBA. But full fandom, I mean, Saquon Barkley is the most remarkable Eagle I've ever seen, and I didn't really come of age like. It was really Ray Rhodes and the Ricky Waters teams were the first, like, I remember watching every Sunday. So Randall Cunningham, Reggie White, obviously were phenomenal, but it was kind of a little bit before my time. I'm aware of them. I just didn't watch every Sunday. So I'm comparing him to, McNabb and Terrell Owens and Brian Dawkins and, Brian Westbrook. But he's just tremendous. I think he's good enough with that offensive line to carry the day. Jalen Hurts can be mediocre. Jalen Hurts' knee could flare up. We could still win the game. And then the secondary has been really remarkable over the second half of the season in particular. I think it's the least amount of points the Eagles defense have allowed since 2004. I mean, the best Eagles defense in 2 decades. It's pretty damn good. And, Eagles finally won a Super Bowl in my lifetime in 2018. They took down a dynastic franchise with considered the best quarterback of all time and Tom Brady. Let's take down another dynastic franchise with the only guy who has threatened Tom Brady's title in the last 7 years is Patrick Mahomes. Let's do it again.
Well, they're stacked. They got everything. It's like the equivalent of an NBA team that plays defense in the playoffs, and they have stars and they can, go off for 30 points any given night. But I think Philly's got I think they got everything. The only thing you got to watch out for, Taylor Swift, be careful of, and the referees. Sometimes the refs, it's a little interesting there. Little interesting ties there with the Kansas City Chiefs. I was telling Dave on Monday when I did my show, I was telling listeners, I now believe in every conspiracy theory. I'm all in now. Every conspiracy theory that's out there. If you didn't think the Earth was flat, I thought the Earth was flat by Monday.
Oh boy!
So I'm all in now on every conspiracy theory after watching Sunday night's game.
Hey, look up. My wife will be mad about this, but look up about a gift that the U.S. government gave of moon rocks to another country after the moon landing.
Done.
It's a little dicey.
It doesn't. It won't take much right now to convince me, brother. I know you're on the road. I know you're traveling. I know you got family out there. But thank you very much for the time. I greatly appreciate it. Okay,
you got it. Great to see you.
Thank you, Dave. All right, that is Dave McMenamin right there. Nice enough to take some time. Always appreciate that. All right, let's. I got a lot of comments here that I've yet to look at. By the way, there was a second there, and I'm sure the comments know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a second there when Dave started driving. I'm like, where's he going? Everything okay? I saw him have some communication with somebody, so he's probably in a parking lot. And the parking lot was probably like, hey, you can't park here. And he's probably like kind of in the middle of a live show. And then Dave just kind of took off. For a second there, I'm like, he's on the freeway. I think he's on the freeway. I think Dave's taken off. I think he's driving to D.C. right now for the Lakers game tomorrow. He's from the Philly area, so he's going to go see some family and everything else. But yeah, I got worried there. I'm like, yeah, Dave, don't worry about the show here. Let's make sure that you're good, you're safe, and you're sound. And we'll take care of the show. Don't worry. Done this long enough. I get through my hour. Appreciate his time. I thought it was interesting. A couple angles there. How about what he was saying about some of the bigs? Right? He was basically saying, go get Jonas Valanciunas, or go get Kelly Olynyk is another name that's out there. Robert Williams is another name out. He's basically saying, like, just walk away getting somebody. Don't get to February 6th, which I don't think the Lakers will do this. I really don't think Pelinka will put himself in this position for the scrutiny that would come with it. And, oh, by the way, Anthony Davis has already publicly said, I want a big to play with. I don't think he's going to put himself in that position, but potentially not even giving up a first rounder or anything like that. Obviously it would be phenomenal. We'll see if the Lakers are able to do it, but they really do have to address that big position. I thought it was also interesting, what he said specifically about kind of the position that the Lakers have put themselves in. They're number 5th in the Western Conference, that if AD's out for, let's just say, approximately a week, he's going to get reevaluated. If he's out for, let's just say, 2 weeks, he's back on the floor. What was your record over that 2 weeks, and how much did your team dip in that span of time? That's obviously going to be critical and crucial, and can really all of a sudden put the Lakers back in a position that they battled to stay away from. It could put them back in a position that they've been in for a number of years. So we obviously don't want to see any of that. All right, let me see the comments here. Okay, just so everybody has an idea. So I have my on the streaming service I use, I'm not on the comments. I'm on the banners. But it says how many comments are sitting there waiting. There's 269 comments right now. How the hell do I get through that? What the hell to get through that? Jesus, 270 now. All right, let's go. Let's take a look here. Send out 2 first for Myles Turner. There was an article that came out. This was going to be part of my show here. Anthony Irwin, who's part of Clutch Points. Let me tell you what this article says from him. According to sources with knowledge of the situation, the Lakers have held extensive conversations about Turner internally, and are weighing whether it makes sense to put both the first rounders they can, move that by the trade deadline, and try to go get Myles Turner. Is Myles Turner worth 2 first rounders? My God. I don't think he's worth 2 first rounders, but it might be the price of doing business. The other question you're going to have to ask yourself is, if you go out and you get Myles Turner and you give up 2 first rounders, you got to make sure that Myles Turner is re-signing with you for multiple years, that this isn't a player you're just grabbing for a year and then or half a year and then he's gone. 2 first rounders is a lot for Myles Turner, but that might be the only way to pry him away from Indiana. Indiana's playing well. Indiana's kind of put themselves in a position where at least their fan base is looking back and saying, hey, look, we're hanging out here. We're 5th, 6th place, wherever they are sitting in the Eastern Conference as far as the standings go. They got a good record, 25-20, but specifically because they've been playing much better basketball, the only way you're going to get the Pacers to decide, they're 25-20, 5th place in the Western Conference. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. They actually got a game, I want to say, right after the trade deadline. Lakers and the Pacers will play each other a couple days maybe after. 2 first rounders is a lot. There's a lot of things that you got to make sure. If Myles Turner, if you're making a trade for Myles Turner, it's costing you 2 first rounders. You got to then imagine and say to yourself, and I did a video yesterday that if they get Myles Turner, it changes everything for this Lakers team. It gives them, in my opinion, a legitimate chance of coming out of the Western Conference, just being a real threat in the Western Conference. But both of your first rounders, that's it. Those are gone now. Now you're basically saying the amount of money that's also going to be going to your front court, AD is $50+ million. You're probably giving Myles Turner around $30 million a year. So you're going to have that much money tied up to just your 4 and your 5 spot, and that's without a legitimate point guard. And we know, in the NBA, you got to have a point guard. So it's going to be steep. If you guys got thoughts on that, feel free to give it. But it ain't going to be cheap. That's for damn sure. All right, let's look at some more here. No on all those bigs. So all those bigs that he named off, you say no. Well, you got to get one of them. You got to get a big. And frankly, if that doesn't happen in any time, obviously, if it doesn't happen in the next week and a half, I think Rob Pelinka is going to have a difficult time facing a lot of Laker fans and his own players. I mean, Anthony Davis was the one to get me another big. There is going to be a big coming. I heard Jazz not trading Kessler. Can I tell you something about that? I got no idea when I see comments like that, right? Or when I see articles like that. Can it just simply be them just positioning themselves and saying, well, I mean, they're not going to say we're going to trade him, or they don't want to. They want to try to drive the price up as much as they can. Now, you do have predicaments like this De'Aaron Fox situation where all of a sudden there is a legitimate conversation about the Kings coming out and saying we're open for business. Miami right now, Jimmy Butler, they're open for business. So it's not unheard of, but I think with situations like Walker Kessler, some of these other guys, they don't have to trade Walker Kessler by the trade deadline. They could trade him in the summer. They could hold on to him. They're only paying him a couple $1 million a year. So we'll see what they end up doing. I got a couple supers here that I want to get through here real quick. Cuppa Joe Slee. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for the super. Very, very nice of you. It's about, I've done the math. For what it costs for my coffee, you got me the next 3 coffees. Thank you, brother. Cuppa Joe Slee. Bad game, team effort. Lakers could have more success as James changed his focus from stat padding to defense. He has chosen not to because D doesn't sell, not brand friendly. Has he chosen not to, or is he 40? And it's going to depend on all these other players to do that heavy lifting and the dirty work, and then he's going to just try to play to his strengths. I think what LeBron has kind of forced all these Laker fans, and trust me, I see a lot of the comments. There's still a lot of hatred that goes towards LeBron James, even with everything that he's accomplished, and it's all good. It comes with the territory. But I think he's fooled everyone in the sense of you still think he's the same elite player at 40 as he was at 32. He's not. He's 40. So I just don't think if you're asking for LeBron James to lock down the way he used to, it just ain't happening. It's not going to happen. But I get some of the frustration too. Obviously, like last night, he had 8 turnovers. You can't have 8 turnovers in a game. You can't. How the hell are you going to win? Some people were saying, oh, well, a lot of people were dropping the ball. Okay, but he still had 8 turnovers. Okay, let's say 2 or 3 of those are on the other person's. It's on one of his teammates' fault. Okay, then that's still 5 or 6 turnovers. JJF around to find out. Seeding DFS to showcase Rui, Bronny, first quarter. AD hurt. Maxey goes on a heater. JJ too late to try. Cam or Shake Milton, tantrums. Okay, whatever that was. Yeah, I think, putting Bronny James early on, that didn't really make too much sense to me either. I think I agree with you on that. I don't think I walked away last night saying to myself, hey, I'm glad Bronny got some opportunities. He didn't play well as well. I think JJ Redick even said that. He dropped 31 in a G League game, and you got other players missing, second of a back-to-back. So I think the idea and the concept was, well, let me just see what I can get out of this guy. And I'm not trying to take chances in that situation, putting Bronny in personally. Northborough, thank you for the super, brother. I really appreciate you. One more here from Northborough. Not who you got, but how you use rotations. Got to be better, or we can add prime MJ and still be cheeks, make a trade, and no more showcasing JJ. Yeah, I think last night's biggest problem more than anything else was obviously AD left the game. But I'm not going to make an excuse for the Lakers, because on the other side of the ball, Embiid's not playing, Paul George's not playing, Andre Drummond's not playing, Caleb Martin's not playing. They got a number of guys. Philly is the last team that wants to hear somebody say, oh, well, we didn't have Anthony Davis. They're looking at their roster saying we didn't have 3 starters. The game before against Charlotte, remember LaMelo leaves after playing 10 minutes. Brandon Miller was out of the game. I mean, Charlotte didn't have anybody, and they took the Lakers absolutely to the end. And that was with Anthony Davis dropping 40-plus and 20-plus. Appreciate the supers, fellas. Appreciate the supers. Okay, let me keep going here. Maxey probably felt disrespected when they put Bronny on him. By the way, I don't know if you guys watched the show yesterday, but I'm doing the show in the morning, and I had one of the guys that covers the Sixers, Keith Pompey, Philadelphia Inquirer, and I'm telling him, I'm like, hey, I only get to see Tyrese Maxey a couple times a year, so I'm excited to see Tyrese Maxey. What should I be expecting? Well, got a good idea of what to be expecting. Drops 43 on the Lakers and absolutely dominate. He could have dropped 55 yesterday, no problem. Played 36 minutes. If you gave him 42 minutes yesterday, he'd have got to 50. So that just kind of shows you, I don't care who was guarding him. I don't care if Dorian Finney-Smith was guarding him. I don't care if Bronny was guarding him. I don't care who you had on him. That man was able to do whatever he wants. Gets to the basket, shoots threes, delivers for others. I mean, whatever he wanted to do, he was able to do. Slee was a shit show with Bronny and LBJ on the court at the same time last night. All right, I get it. I understand it. A lot of people didn't like seeing Bronny get in. Listen, if you're asking me, yeah, I prefer not seeing him get in games like that. Right now, the only time I think Bronny should be seeing the court is late in a game. Right? 2-3 minutes left. The game's already been decided. That's when he should be getting playing time. So, yeah, simple as that. So, I mean, I don't know if you guys are, if you're looking for me to support JJ last night because he threw in Bronny, that ain't going to happen. But I'm also very well aware Lakers didn't lose the game because Bronny got some minutes, right? I'm also very aware of that. They lost the game for plenty of other reasons that had nothing to do with Bronny, but Bronny also played in a game that, yeah, I'm looking at all the comments here that I get it. I'm not going to argue with that. Okay. I'm going to go back and look at some of the other comments here. Let's see. A couple other things that I got into. Let me just promote one thing here real quick. Ask Lee. So Ask Lee is going to be the kind of final few minutes of the show or so. Ask Lee is basically any questions that you want to throw my way. We've done this now last couple of weeks more consistently. Really good questions that come in. Random questions. Ask whatever the hell you want. Some people ask some food questions. Some people ask predicament situations, whatever the case is. So any questions you got for me, throw them in and I'll get to them before the show ends. So if I kind of recap today's show, unfortunately for Fortunately, just this is kind of the optics of where the Lakers are. 24 hours ago, we were sitting here feeling really good about the Lakers spot, their position, what their kind of, what it looks like moving forward, the chance at the NBA trade deadline to get better and everything else. And then 24 hours later, we're talking about Anthony Davis is going to be out. We're not 100% sure, obviously when he's coming back. And I think that's the biggest story that we sit with. What's that going to do in the standings and kind of further drop the Lakers and everything else? So that's going to be that's really the main news. I think the De'Aaron Fox piece that we were talking about with Dave McMenamin, I gotta be honest with you, I don't take things personal at all if a player doesn't want to play the Lakers. My only question is this: does De'Aaron Fox not want to, with all the ties with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports, does he not want to be a Laker because is it not LeBron's at the end of his career? I don't want to be a part of that. I'd rather go somewhere else. Does he not want to be a Laker because why would I want to go play for the Lakers when like Dave McMenamin mentioned, he's from Texas, maybe a chance to go play with Victor Wembanyama. This is what the next 6-7 years can look like for him obviously with the San Antonio Spurs. So there's some different reasons behind that. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's take a look at what we got here. All right, let's get a couple of these Asleys in here. If you got an Asley, throw it in. Asley, beer pong or pool? Well, that's a good question. I like that. I haven't played beer pong. If I was still playing beer pong, I would encourage you guys all to unsubscribe. And be like, Al, bro, the glory days are over, bro. Get out of that mix. So I would say pool. Yeah, I would say pool. I'm also not a big drinker, so I'm not out there pounding beers left and right. Beer pong's fun, don't get me wrong. And I got that hand-eye coordination. When you got a jumper, when your career average 42% from the corner threes, then you kind of got it. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys used to ever play beer pong, and as you threw it, you're like, that's nylon right there. And you kind of walk away. And people are like, oh, shit, this guy's got a jumper. He's got a jumper in beer pong. I'd play pool. Pool between the two of them, based on where I am in my life right now, definitely going pool. All right, let's see what we got here. This is a good question, and it's actually a very easy answer. Very easy answer. Pasta or ramen? I love ramen. If you told me the rest of my life, every single day, I'm going to have ramen, I'm in. I want that pork broth, right? I want the egg on top. Let me get some corn on there as well. Let me get some extra green onions. I'm going. By the way, I got to add that chili oil too. I got to make it a little spicy. I like making my ramen a little spicy. So that's basically where I'm going with that. So that one's easy. It's not that I'm against pasta, but I live without pasta. But 100% between the two, that one's easy. All right, let's see what else we got here. Ramen all day. 42% from downtown suit up. I'm not even talking about top of the key. Top of the key is where I'm dangerous. But I'm just saying, I'm not a playmaker. So usually I got to go sit in one of the corners. Sushi or ramen? Yeah, I'm still going ramen. Sushi's damn good too. Don't get me wrong. All right, let's see what else we got here. Slee, what was your vert in high school? When I think of me, I know a lot of people who are on here right now, when they think of Slee, one of the first things that comes to their mind is vertical, right? Like I know a lot of people, I know that's kind of like synonymous with Slee. Like when people think Slee, they say, oh yeah, that guy's been, he's been on the radio, he's been talking Lakers a lot, and then they say vertical. My vertical was probably, sometimes when you when you're just going for a walk and there could be a piece of the concrete that's just a little bit up, just a little bit, maybe there's a root under it or something like that. I could trip over that. So that should tell you something about my vertical. that at any moment that something's not a flat surface, the knee could buckle. I can churn an ankle and be on the ground. I'm out 3 to 6 weeks. So that will tell you a little bit about my vertical. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, this is great. Star Wars or Marvel? Neither. I don't know anything about either. None of those. Absolutely neither. For those who know Star Wars and Marvel, God bless your soul. I'm just not, I'm not there. All right, let's see what we got here. See some more here. Chiefs or Eagles? I'm going Eagles. Yeah, I'm going Eagles on this one. I'm all in on the Eagles. The conspiracy theory. You guys already know what happened. You guys already know what happened the last time around the game on Sunday. I'm all in on the Eagles. I'm all in. Some of these questions. You're all idiots. And it's pretty funny. I'll take my chances with JJ Redick. Take my chances with JJ. I will. But plus, I also got 2 years. I got 2 years to see Darvin Ham. So let me take my chances now with JJ Redick. All right, couple more, and then we're getting the hell out of here. By the way, I had some stuff that I'm going to wait on. I'm going to wait till tomorrow. I had something out there on Hal Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees, was talking a little bit about the Dodgers. I'm going to hold off on that stuff till tomorrow. I'll spend more time on it. I don't want to just kind of rush it or anything like that. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time on that tomorrow. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh, easy. Wait, not that one. Kessler or Turner? Easy. Myles Turner. It's just going to cost you. You know what I mean? But I'm going Myles Turner. Sleet, favorite non-Laker jersey from any era? Are we talking basketball or in general? Because if we're talking in general anything, I think one of the most OG jerseys out there is Tony Gwynn. And you can either get Tony Gwynn in that 98 era where it was kind of the orange and white, or you can go old school Tony Gwynn back in like the late 80s where he had that jersey in the that brown and yellow. T. Gwynn was the man. Loved me some Tony Gwynn. If we're talking just NBA, favorite non-Laker jersey from any era? Damn, that's a good question. I mean, obviously Jordan, it's as OG as it gets. I think Hakeem Olajuwon is a little underrated. So I like kind of some of those. But then you got to start looking at teams. The Vince Carter Toronto Raptors jersey. I mean, Vince Carter was the man back in the day. KG Minnesota. Those are a couple that come to mind. I'm trying to think here. What else is out there that old school? Those are probably the ones that kind of jump to my Sean Kemp in Seattle. How filthy was Sean Kemp back in the days? Those are a couple out there. T-Mac, Orlando Magic. Yep. T-Mac, Orlando Magic. That's a good one as well. Somebody's got here Penny Hardaway. A lot of people are looking at Sixers. All right, we done? What do you guys think? YouTube's the best, man. My baby's chilling here, shooting the shit. All right, let's I think we stop there. Yeah, Kemp is a good one. Kemp was a monster. Ooh, Grant Hill, that's right. Grant Hill in the Pistons days. Yeah. Okay, back on tomorrow morning. So no Laker game tonight. Back on tomorrow morning starting at 8 a.m. I mentioned I'll get into some baseball stuff tomorrow as well. We'll see what kind of goes down over the next 24 hours and kind of take it from there. So kind of disappointing morning, got to be honest with you guys. I'm sure if you guys felt good about the day, I probably ruined it. Thank you to Dave McMenamin for joining the show, for hanging out for as long as he did. And we'll get some more content coming up tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. If anything else goes down tonight or something like that, I'll try to put something up. But if nothing does, then we'll be back tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Appreciate the Ask Sleep questions. Please subscribe to the channel. If you have not subscribed to the channel, we'll greatly appreciate that. Thank you.